Have you heard of the new addition to the Go for Donnie podcast? I haven't either, but it's called Switch to Channel 2. That is where Donnie will get to ask his guests some questions, so you, the listener, get to know them better. And remember, hashtag HTFU.
Hey, Andy. So thanks for staying on with us. And I was just going to explain to you before, but I'm like, why not do it live when you can do it live? So Switch to Channel 2 is just a little show that I added about spinning that dial so that way we can talk more and get to know you a little more, because that's what we did on set when we had the chatter. We had to go to number 2. We did a little chatter. Everyone else would listen in, of course. So everyone's listening in. And at the end, we went back. So first one that I kind of ask everyone, it's pretty a generic one that's worked on Top Gear. What would be your favorite Top Gear episode you've ever worked on?
Oh, wow. What a question.
18 years and counting. 18 years to go through that Rolodex to figure out.
I think there's probably two that I'm most... I mean, the one when Michael Schumacher came on the show was
what?
Pretty...
Yeah. Oh, you mean the studio?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
I timed it just amazing. And that they had to cut the clapping down. That cheering was going on for, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. It was phenomenal.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. But I think one which is always, I've mentioned it on other chats I've had with people and stuff in the past, the Eurofighter versus the Bugatti Veyron down the runway, side by side. Was pretty iconic to see and to be there for. That was
wow,
pretty cool.
Eurofighter Veyron. So that was at the was that at the Top Gear studio?
Well,
the airstrip.
I will show you something. I put one of the
what? That is dope.
Yeah.
I gotta take a picture. Hold on, I gotta take a picture of that and show Max. Max is gonna freak out, and he's gonna actually ask you probably a lot more about that. That is so cool, Andy. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that was filmed at an RAF base. But yeah, I mean, moments like that, you don't see that sort of stuff every day. And that is one of the opportunities that I've had working on the show, seeing stuff like that. You know, I love fighter planes, I love hypercars. To be part of something like that, that's where I'm massively grateful to the show and the opportunities it's given me over the years and stuff like that.
That is so beyond cool. Wow. All right. I didn't think I have anything close cool like that at all. How did you get started in the industry? How did you get started into the car culture industry?
Yeah, so I left the forces. I was in the army. I left that and then joined the fire brigade. And I was a firefighter, and I bumped into an old friend of mine, and he was doing like rescue cover of race circuits and for rallies in the UK. So I started working with him, and he said, "There's this. This is 2006, and it was like there's a Top Gear, the TV show." I was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of it." You know,
yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, like massively known then. He said, "Oh, we're covering the track," so I just started working with him at the side of the track, and then just through Top Gear, I then started getting involved on other shows and feature films. My first feature to kind of move up to was Fast and Furious 6. So I started working on, and that was the opportunity to start moving up into other car, projects, car media, filming, motorsport events. And I think over the years as well, the motorsport stuff that we do, motorsport now has changed. It's gone from a motorsport event to now, online and social media and interacting and like YouTube, and motorsport events have changed now, how the way that they're run, stuff like that, and how the media's involved in that. And it kind of often combines like a live broadcast on Facebook or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of grown and grown. I've been lucky to be part of it.
Wow. And so that transitioned into doing some work with F1 now? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, so I've worked on quite a few motorsport championships. I've worked on like Gymkhana Grid, Red Bull Drift Shifters, Speedway Grand Prix, British Touring Cars, lots of like stuff. And then I was lucky last year to work on the F1 movie, this new sort of like F1 Apple Studios, Brad Pitt making this.
Yeah, this little movie, that no one really knows more about.
Yeah, it's only a little one, but yeah. That's pretty cool. I like F1, so to work on that. And last year, we were very lucky last year because we could shoot a lot of the action scenes. Obviously, during the strike, so we couldn't use cars, but we could do some of the second unit sort of like action scene stuff. So that was where I was very lucky last year to go to F1 events, I was in the pit lane at 5 F1 races last year.
Did you say 5?
Yeah. That film is going to be, I mean, the trailer is just, it's like, okay, wow, this is like Top Gun with cars. So
it's so cool. I like the cameras, how they had the camera set up. I can appreciate not just having the regular F1 feed view, or the helmet cam where it expands out. It just gives a better sense of the speed.
So much of that, I was like, we're going to put Brad Pitt in the car. Why? And I'd be talking with the stunt team, with the producers, with the production team, and also people from Apple. And I'd be like, we're putting Brad Pitt in the car. Why are we taking this risk? But a lot of training, huge amount of training went in, massive amount to set things up for it. When I saw the trailer, I then realised, okay, I get it now. I get it why we couldn't have faked this, why we couldn't CGI it, why we couldn't have a face. You see the trailer and you see his face, and you're like, yeah, I get it. This is why he had to be in the car, which I suppose is because it's Joe Kosinski directing who did Top Gun. I totally understand now the way how Tom Cruise had to be in the fighter planes for Top Gun, in the same way that Brad has to be in the cars for F1.
It's so crazy. Oh my gosh. And I love how it's shot. I mean, I don't know, it looks pretty badass. I want to know, did your business kind of blow up before or after COVID?
So it was getting busier and busier, and it was organic growth. We had Top Gear, we had lots of other, film projects running, Mission Impossibles, Bond, things like that. And we've always been lucky to kind of work on second unit sort of thing, because a lot of second unit car chase stuff is very similar to where we've come from, which is motorsport events, roll cages, cutting, stunt performers in cars. It's the same sort of thing as very similar to motorsport. And then during COVID was just absolute bonkers time for us. We were doing, have you seen Masters of the Air? The big series. It's like Apple, it's like the third, Band of Brothers, you've got the Pacific, and Masters of the Air is the third one from Steven Spielberg. We were lucky to work, and that was a two-year project for us, which was just colossal. And working on that, and during COVID, when suddenly health and safety became quite a big thing, because of the pandemic, just combining them, things just escalated massively. And as a company, we just sort of doubled, and we've just, since COVID, we've just been lucky to kind of keep the work coming in. Obviously, the last year hasn't been great in the industry, and it's still really quiet in the UK. There's I don't know, half the amount of stuff that there was before, and it's not just feature films; it's in television as well. Everything just seems to have gone so quiet out here, which I think is a thing happening, obviously, for you guys over there as well.
Yeah, it's still quiet. I mean, it's not. I don't know. It hasn't gotten any better. I've been lucky and working on a few things, but it just doesn't seem like new projects are being produced. I mean, things that are being produced are existing projects, being renewed for new seasons. That's what it seems like are being renewed. But even if they're being renewed, what we were talking about before we hit record is these companies taking these shows and producing them in different countries, like in Manchester, you were saying, or in Dublin. I know for a fact that a company that I work with are producing a show out of Dublin. So it's crazy that, they're having to do that. At least it hurts our market. Hopefully it helps other markets, but it still doesn't seem like there's enough content.
Yeah, it's strange. People think everything is obviously filmed out in the US. I think what's going to be an even bigger impact is we've done. Have you worked on volume screens yet? You've seen these volume screens? These massive sort of 5-6 meter high LED screens that wrap around people.
Are those what Star Wars use here? In Carson. Yeah. Okay, I know you're talking about.
If I was a construction manager, I would be very worried because there was no set anymore. That film, the Boba Fett. What's the Boba Fett series called? Mandalorian. So there's some behind the scenes on YouTube of Mandalorian, and as the camera moves, the whole screen moves as well. So much of Mandalorian, isn't it? The sand that they're stood on is real. Everything else is just in someone's mind that they've just drawn. And what's what's fascinating with those volume screens as well, if they need more light somewhere, they don't bring a light in, they just make a part of the screen brighter to be the light. So everything is kind of, it's changing. We've got to learn to pivot in our industry to move with the times, because unfortunately, suddenly in the last year, the whole industry is changing. It's a lot more agile and smaller, and the budgets are smaller, and people have learned, how can we shoot this with this amount of people, which really isn't great for the industry, but we've all got to learn what we can do to get around it.
Yeah, no, I know that and AI, everyone's really concerned about AI in some form or fashion, but for what I do, boy, it helps. It helps me do everything from filming this to, putting up something on this screen, to writing scripts, to, coming up with a script. I mean, there's so many things that helps this small individual creator out with that, I love, but I can see it's really going to hurt the industry, because where it's helping me, it's, there's no graphic artists anymore. I mean, I can go to Canva. Love Canva, guys. Canva. I go into Canva and I do up, photos or presentations in there, or graphics. I mean, it's so quick and easy to do, where before you'd send it to someone. It takes time for them to look at it, to vet it, to do it, to send back a version, to tweak it. I mean, it's just crazy how much time is cut out now.
Yeah, I think there's I wrote a training course for the British Stunt Register. So we do like a health and safety training course for the British Stunt Register. And when I wrote that course, I've been doing this for like 16 years, sort of thing. There's lots of things you can Google on YouTube, but the actual isms of how things are done is a certain way. And I, just out of interest, put into ChatGPT, write a training course for the Stunt Register on health and safety. And what ChatGPT gave me back wasn't just what you would get from Google. It was the things which I personally know about, which isn't a factual thing, just how this is done and how it was in there. And it's like, how does it know this? This isn't just a Google search. This is the actual, the soul of what I understand about for me to write this training. And this thing on my phone has sucked it back to me. And it's just like, this is changing things. This is kind of, it's an interesting one.
Wow. Well, I mean, I've seen it all work from good to bad. Rupert has showed me some things he's done with AI, with commercials and graphics, and it's just so cool what you can do in such a short amount of time, to where it doesn't take weeks to put together anything anymore. I mean, if you know how to use keystrokes or shortcuts, and you can easily navigate it and have it work for you. And I'm trying to get it to work for me. We'll see if it helps work for me, and switch to channel 2 and go for Donnie, and then with Max on Max's Motor Minute as well. So I guess one last thing, what's next for Andy Harris? What do you have coming up in your company?
So at the moment we've got a couple of shows on. We've got, do you have Bridgerton? Do you have Bridgerton out there?
Yeah.
So we've got our team working on that. At the moment, for me, it's a bit of a shame, really. There's no big sort of like James Bond second unit, or Fast and Furious, or Gran Turismo, or there isn't anything like that at the moment. So I'm just kind of working with my team, with the business, obviously, and helping the team here, and training up, coaching new production safety advisors and stuff. There's a bit of motorsport happening, but it's kind of, I'm just in between jobs at the moment and waiting for the next big automotive filming project. A couple of commercials. I did a job for Bentley the other week. We did a underwater speed record for Bentley, 230 miles an hour in a tunnel under Norway. And that's great, because there is still the online content. So it's not just feature films. The online content is great to work with, which obviously you've worked with that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, it's kind of, for the first time in maybe 4 years, I'm at home for the summer, and I'm getting to do
crazy.
Like holiday stuff, and kind of enjoy not working for summer for the first time in years. So yeah, loving it.
Do you think that's really cool? Do you think are you seeing it, the shift in marketing from as broadcast TV to social media? The more you're doing is for internet and less TV or cable, or
and I think I prefer doing that sort of stuff as well, like a big television commercial. is very, edited and beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, if we're doing something with some influencers and we're doing a car stunt or a record attempt, or somebody wants to have a go at driving this or something like that, that's different and new, and you can be a lot more involved in it, and it doesn't need to be as perfect as a massive commercial would be. Someone wants to have an attempt at driving this at this speed, they've never done it before, and it's for their YouTube channel or something like that. And that's where, it's not the same sort of budgets and the same sort of rates that we're on a massive feature, but it's enjoyable because it's smaller and more fun and more involved, and there isn't a budget. So sometimes it's actually a good way because you have to do like 3 things at once and just be part of it. So sometimes that sort of stuff is fun.
That makes sense. Huh. Do you feel, I'm just trying to I just want more stuff to go to YouTube now, now that I have my YouTube channel, because everything I read, everything keeps saying that, people are going to start watching more and more content on YouTube, and that YouTube is the largest streaming platform in the world. So hopefully that's the case. But do you see that happening? Do you see more YouTube content?
Yeah. And I'm falling for it myself. There's a guy called Matt Armstrong. He's like the main UK car YouTuber now in the UK. He buys crashed cars, rebuilds them, generally then crashes them again, actually. But yeah, he's sort of like, I find myself now on a Saturday night, I'm on my iPad watching a YouTuber doing stuff on his phone. He's edited his own thing. So instead of me watching a $200 million feature film, I'm watching someone on YouTube doing something. It's kind of strange. I listened to a podcast the other day and it said about it, how our minds are changing now and our attention spans, and we can't do a 3-hour epic Ridley Scott movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's now broken down into smaller sections. And that's what I find with YouTube, where I'm kind of watching podcasts as well. It's how we think has changed as well, which I think is another reason maybe that feature films are all changing and how that works.
Yeah, I know my attention span is short. Oh, geez. It's hard to sit through a movie anymore. A couple hours movie is just, it's hard to keep my attention unless it's a sporting event like F1 or a good soccer game. So, but that's cool. Well, Andy, thank you so much. Man, I appreciate you sticking around and having a little chatter with us, but I'm sure we got to get back to our respected channel to get back to work, because everyone's listening, so everyone's going to go back to the channel now. So, but thanks for joining, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for chattering on Switch Channel 2.
Cool. I'm switching back to 1.
Back to 1. Thanks, Andy.
Cheers, fella.
Production for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Locations for Donnie. Go for Donnie.
Habitat for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Hey, Donnie, what the hell are they doing?